This is episode 455 of the New Old Heads podcast. I am Jay Diff, and in this episode, we feature Brad Spoolstra, one of our alumni from the show. Everybody that knows. In this episode, we talked about Assata Shakur and her importance in hip hop in the past and present, and will that continue to happen as far as her impact and influence is concerned. We also talked about Nas and Dame Dash and how, hey, I'm gonna need y'all to shut the up. We also address Nas and Dame Dash, and does their business acumen in their later years redefine their entire legacy or lack thereof, so to speak. We also address the Bad Bunny situation, or is it even a situation? It's entertainment at the end of the day. He's performing at the Super Bowl. Are you mad? Be sure to check out our uncut version on Patreon, the whole 2-hour show, where you'll see a lot of foolishness and a lot of realness at the same time. We'll see you in the comments. Peace.
You are now listening to the New Old Heads podcast. Our official 1-hour episode is released every Saturday at noon Eastern, but we share the exclusive uncut 2-hour episode to our Patreon members early every Wednesday. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Bringing Down the Band, and most importantly, you. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads, where we embrace the new, respect the old, and remain ahead.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The brothers are in the building. As always, starting off with my man Jay Bourne. How are you, good sir?
Doing well. Kicking but not high. Flapping but can't fly. You know the vibes.
I do know the vibes. My man Lonegevity is in the pilot's chair. How are you, sir?
Flying around, man. Flipping and flapping and stuff.
I always want more there, but I just never quite get it.
Yeah,
My man DJ Jay Diff. What's happening, man?
Salutations.
Everything good your way?
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
Oh, I can't complain. Everything's good. We're going to have a special guest this week. We have family. My man DJ Spoolz. How are you, sir?
Hello, Michael.
Thank you for that.
How are you, man?
Warms my soul to hear hello, Michael, from you, sir.
It's good to be here, as always.
Yeah, everything good your way, man?
Yep. Can't complain, man. How about you?
I cannot complain. They're not going to listen if I do anyway.
They don't
so
ever listen, man. But, yep, I hear you.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to the champ in the building as well, helping us out as he always does.
The champ is here.
We appreciate you, champ. So, hip-hop just lost one of its most important and controversial guiding lights, a woman who was never on record, but whose story is on dozens. So we're going to unpack the life of Assata Shakur, rest in peace, and explore how her revolutionary actions and escape to Cuba made her an icon in hip-hop culture. Now, for me, Public Enemy, Jay-Z, hearing those references, that was some of my first introductions to Common, to, how deep those political roots actually went. But while many artists celebrate her, the U.S. government still lists her as a domestic terrorist. Now, as the godmother of Tupac Shakur and the subject of Common's, to your point, tribute song, a song for Assata, which is one of my favorites. Why has hip-hop, more than any genre, been the primary vehicle for keeping Assata Shakur's controversial story alive for new generation? We're all familiar with, we've been outside, so we know, but why hip hop?
I think part of it is because despite the corporatization of hip hop that we know now, there was a time when the music really was about protest music. It really was about the counterculture, if you will, and while the United States government, they're going to deem anything that's counterculture as criminal. That's what they did to the Panthers. There are still people to this day who would, if they were fans of Richard Nixon, if they were fans of J. Edgar Hoover, they're going to think that anybody who is upsetting the apple cart, if you will, is someone who needs to be dealt with as a criminal.
Yeah.
Regardless of the fact that we know what COINTELPRO was, we know exactly what, and the thing is, these are things that you can look up that, the United States government in concert with the Chicago Police Department
Murdered Fred
Hampton.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's forensic information that lets you know that all the bullets went in, none of them came out.
99 shots in, one out.
One out.
So it is not something that is lost to me, or I think majority of the people who have paid any attention to just what the United States of America has done to revolutionary voices. I've had conversations with people because they, when I've talked about the Black Panthers before, and they would try to actually say the Black Panthers and the Klan are the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because that's how their mindset has been programmed. People who I think should know better, people who I don't believe are racist, but when you talk to them about the Black Panthers, it's like, no, but they were a violent group. I was like, you didn't hear anything about the programs as far as
the breakfast program,
the health clinics,
policing their own neighborhoods,
making sure people had lawyers, make sure they weren't railroaded by the system. So, you know, anything like that, like I said, when I talk about a revolutionary spirit, I'm talking about feeding the community, making sure people are don't get sick, and aren't railroaded by the system. That's revolutionary. You know, I'm not talking about just running up, you know, in City Hall with the pistol grip pump or whatever. Like that's something else. That's a narrative that has been created by people who do not care about the actual message that was and don't actually care about was actually done as far as, you know, the Panthers or whatever counter-revolutionary.
Yeah, because the wrong people were using or exercising their Second Amendment.
You know, because you have to understand. Look up I believe it's the Mumford Act in California. You got to understand, like, you know, I know the GOP, the right Republicans, whatever you want to call them now. You know, they're all for Second Amendment, but when it was about the brothers in Oakland arming themselves, all of a sudden it was like, well, we need some. That's why the gun laws in California are what they are. You know, at one point it wasn't like that. You could have you could have that thing on you, if you will. But as soon as like the brothers in the leather coats and the berets, we wanted to make sure that the police were doing the right things in the community. It was like, well, wait a minute. Everybody doesn't really need to be armed like that.
I'm gonna give y'all
so those same people who are about militias and standing up against the tyranny of the government, as soon as it was people who, you know, look like this, it was a wrap on that. So once again, do your Googles, do your research.
I'm gonna do a slight flex here, and then I'm coming to you, Spoolz. But y'all know that I'll always mention Dick Gregory because I had a small, very minuscule relationship with him. But he told me that this was one of the people that was done wrong, had all the great intentions, and he told me this was somebody that he had no problem speaking on her behalf at any time. But Spoolz, jump in, man. What do you think about hip hop in terms of, you know, preserving her legacy?
It's the perfect vehicle for it, I think. It's really interesting looking at those times in the country back when she was around and what was going on in the country as far as like the domestic terrorism is concerned. The 70s were wild in this country, man. Late 60s, getting into the, you know, late 60s into the 70s, like bombings common at, you know, federal buildings, ROTC building, you know, just different things like that. Like it actually, political violence wise, was far worse in the 70s than it is right now, for sure. And it's just something to put into perspective. Like what's going on right now is horrible. You know, just, I don't know, it's not good. But you know, the 70s were there was a lot going on, man. A lot of people were wanting their rights that they deserved a long time ago, and that they never should have been withheld. And it was all kind of coming, you know, together at the same time. So
that's also interesting too, is that like when she left the Panthers, she was a part of the Black Liberation Army, and that's what was deemed a terrorist organization, even though it wasn't really an organization. It was just more of an ideal, similar to kind of like Antifa,
right?
Which is just anti-fascism.
It's just a figment of a lot of people's imagination.
I'm just saying. I mean, you know, and and then that's when she kind of, obviously, when she went to jail for that thing that happened on the highway or whatever, and broken out and all this stuff. But the evidence was like stacked against her, and she, you know, so yeah, I don't know. Because her hands were up or something when she was shot or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's when you follow all the way all that back and you kind of mirror it to kind of stuff that's continued to happen, and you know, when you think about hip hop's again early revolutionary period of time, and even into the 90s, and even still today, depending on the artist, you know, it's definitely deeply rooted in you know, doing the right thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely, man. I always think of, I don't know, Dead Prez always comes to mind.
Yeah,
sure.
With groups like that's, you know, obviously Public Enemy before and that, but like, I don't know, man. The what Jay touched on as far as the way that people view the Panthers versus, groups like the Klan, or, it's, I don't know, it's always been ridiculous to me. Like one group came together to protect, and another group came together to lash out at others.
To destroy.
Yeah.
So like, it's just, I don't know, to me, there's no comparison.
Jump in there, Terry.
I really don't have a whole lot more to add. I think Jay pretty much summed it up for the most part. It's just, even Brad bringing up, it's the perfect vehicle with it being hip hop. Essentially, hip hop was an against the system movement at one point in time. Counterculture. I actually have a whole conversation about counterculture I want to have, but it has nothing to do with this. But we'll do that at another time. But it definitely was something that that mirrored a lot of the things that were going on in the 60s and 70s, and obviously it birthed a lot of these artists too.
Yeah.
Especially with it being so close to Tupac Shakur. This was his godmother. So he had a relationship with this woman as well. And I don't know, I really don't have a whole lot more to add to it, to be honest with you. It's rest in peace to her, and I'm glad that she was able to live her life to the fullest, although it was in exile, but I'm sure she was received well in Cuba.
She was.
And
it's an interesting thing, actually. Like, if you go back, like Fidel opened his arms up wide for her. It was a way for him to show his disdain for the capitalist, American imperialist, but that whole time, man, it really, I highly recommend, like, there's a Ken Burns, I'm a big Ken Burns fan, as you guys remember from years ago when I talk about it all the time, but the Vietnam War documentary, it's like 8 or 9 parts, maybe more, but it goes not only into the war, but what was going on in the United States during all that, man. It was just it was a wild time. It was a really wild time.
They still shoot up, who did we just bring up that was killed in Chicago?
Fred Hampton.
They still shoot up his gravesite.
Facts.
That's crazy.
They still shoot up Emmett Till's, like the sign.
I was going to bring this up, actually, that Mike and I had this discussion. We were talking about this last night or 2 nights ago. We're chatting.
The other night,
my brother and I don't think I was on the podcast or mentioned it, but last year, we go on these road trips every few years, and last year we went down through Memphis, like we went south, and we wanted to go through Mississippi and then came back up, man. But we went all through the Delta and stopped at these places that, I think everyone should know about, and I think are important to our history to know about. But, the courthouse where the 2 white men that killed him were let off. Mm-hmm. Like there's a marker there. So we, saw that. The Bryant's grocery store.
Yeah.
There's we stopped in front of that. It's kind of in shambles now. But we also stopped at the sign that you just mentioned, and we found it. It's just off the banks of the
Tallahatchie.
Yep. So to Jay's 100% accurate when he said they had to make this sign. I don't remember if it's just completely steel now or what it's made out of, but it had been bombed, shot at, set on fire, defaced over the year. Like all this stuff had happened to it, to where they had to build like this massive piece of steel that no one could mess up. It's just sad.
Said Vigo the Carpathian, who's bombed, stabbed, shot, killed.
Yeah.
A sign.
I hate
a sign.
Yeah, but
it's a sign. Yeah.
But and this is the thing, is like you're just, for people who are trying to have this erased, I can only assume that's their problem. It's like you're just confirming what people think about you and your racism, to where here is a marker where someone died clearly because of racism.
Yeah.
And you shoot up the sign.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for validating that for us.
Yeah, it's like, well, you are really as terrible as like people assume you to be.
Yeah.
But do you guys think her legacy, of her activism, will that continue to resonate in a genre that has become commercialized, basically, increasingly more commercialized?
Not nowhere near like how it was.
Okay.
Because this kind of goes to the subculture conversation that I want to have at some point in time.
Yeah.
That hip hop has just completely become commercialized. It doesn't hold that same weight that it once did, to where this music is representing people that we looked up to at one point in time. You know what I'm saying? This was a soundtrack to bucking the system. Now, I mean, you can still consider it that, because I mean, people are doing what they want to do musically, but it's not the same type of hip hop that birthed the artists that look up to an Assata Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I can dig that.
I think that's
well said.
And I think that's by design.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we'll give you this much money. We'll put this, we'll put you on these platforms, but you can't care about these things.
Yeah.
Because caring about those, at one point, you could almost say that having a certain level of consciousness was commercial.
Yeah, I'd say in like the early 90s.
Yeah, but now
No,
and I know, I would say late 80s. Like I remember seeing, stuff like Lakim Shabazz and, Proud to Be Black, Black I'm Proud. They was playing it on Yo MTV Raps in the middle of the afternoon.
Right.
And I don't think there is a space for that now because everything is, shaking ass and getting money. And I think that's where, when we talk about capitalism, capitalism kind of, you can't have capitalism and revolution at the same time because it winds up, it's kind of like that scene in I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, where he talks, where Clarence Williams III, he talks about, we went down there to the government building to take it over, and the brothers came out with jobs.
They went in with guns. They went in with guns.
Yo,
and came out
classic.
with jobs.
That's classic.
Straight up.
But that was also one of the, I mean, speaking of Assata Shakur, like she was anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
You know, like that's fundamental nature of like where a lot of her disdain came from. In an interview I've seen fairly recently where she was talking about the fact, like once I realized that this is where everything is from, it's like, well, this is the underlining piece that's the problem, and then so you look at hip hop in the popularized sense, the popularized rap culture that we have right now, and it's just straight commercialization. That's all it is, and so it's separate.
It's unfortunate too, man. Like right?
Yeah.
It's hard to go against the system.
Yeah.
And go against the capitalist grain.
Because we live in it.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm not...
It's ingrained in everyone in the United
well,
States.
From a very early age.
We have to exist in the system that we're in. Like, otherwise, what are we going to,
change it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
which is harder. But you have to exist within it first to be able to change it, right?
You have to.
But it is it's difficult, man.
People don't want to have a voice anymore. Like when it comes to music, they don't like if you talk to a lot of artists, they can't tell you anything politically. Like if you ask them a political question, to them it's more so about getting money and
that's what
taking
everything
care of
comes
family,
down to.
things of that nature.
But it goes down to education. It goes down to what is taught to us at a young age, right? It's to me, it speaks less about the artist and more about the underlining thing.
Well, when people like D1 come out and say some of the things that he has said, and the retorts from people are, well, you're broke.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like people don't want
literally
to,
where we at.
and I think we're going to head down this path maybe with the topic here in a little bit more, but like, yeah, man, like, I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of like,
It just takes everything over.
I want people, I'll say this and I don't care how it sounds. I didn't care whether or not, Young Thug went to jail or stayed there or not. Because I remember what he said, about the Mike Brown situation. We out here iced out, we having money, and then all of a sudden you wind up incarcerated, and all of a sudden it's about. I felt the same. What was his name? A$AP Rocky. He said some also kind of off-brand. We get money. I can't be bothered with black people's problems or the struggle. But then he winds up in jail overseas somewhere, and he wants everybody to care.
Oh, he almost ended up in jail here.
Yeah.
He
He
got
was
pardoned by Donald Trump, I believe, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, but once again, you're seeing how these people like Lil Wayne, Kodak Black, these people.
I'm sorry. He went or helped get him back.
He did.
Yeah.
They wind up cozying themselves up to the power structure. So how are they going to speak on anything revolutionary? Or not even revolutionary, like just basically speak on behalf of the places that they come from. You can't speak on the struggles of the people who are in Harlem or in Duval County or not even Duval. That's Jacksonville. But I'm talking about,
it's not
in
awesome
Miami,
always either.
because the thing is like, when I go to Miami, like I said, I go out and have a good time, but like, you know, in between going to the good times, you see how dirt poor certain parts of Miami are.
Facts.
And there's a real struggle there. And you got to understand, like, the artists from those places are not trying to talk about that, you know, because it's like, well, wait a minute. I mean, they'll talk about, I came out of the gutter and I got it out the mud, but they're not going to talk about the systemic problems that the people who live there are going through, because that is not profitable.
It's not entertaining anymore. You know what I'm saying? We came up and we're fortunate enough to come up in an age where we seen hip hop do what it did to make it to where it's at now. So it went through a lot of changes, but it went through a lot of changes with a lot of brolic, so to speak. A lot of, I'm going to speak about what I'm going through because this is what I'm going through and this is me and this is my life. And yeah, I want to do this to get money, but money isn't the main factor, the main key. I want to bring light to a lot of this stuff. People nowadays don't care to bring light to a lot of socially demeaning situations that they might have grown up or came up in. It's more so just talking about what they did to get out of that situation. It's not talking about the political version of it. You know what I'm saying?
Fight the Power is one of my favorite videos.
Yeah.
Ever.
But, you know, even when you talk
self-destruction.
Yeah.
Like, these videos were, y'all know these videos when they came out. Like,
because they were
love
played every day after school.
Yeah. These videos has like NWA videos. Like some of them videos are iconic because of them bucking the system,
a lot of that stuff,
or talking about their circumstances in the video.
Yeah, that was the nature of the game.
It pushed it to the forefront, so I could say, yeah, I'm way out here in the Midwest, but damn, that's what it looked like. Yeah. That's what they going through.
But I'll also say, back to the original point, there still are artists that exist in this space in hip hop that do speak on these things. D1 is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that I think is super talented that is always talking about America imperialism is Locksmith.
Yeah.
And he's super talented.
He's a cat from St. Louis, Tef Poe.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. Yeah. He's always down to give you that work.
Yeah. Vic Mensa's always talking about this stuff now, you know, especially in, you know, he's getting a little older. I mean, he's younger than us, but like he's dropping wisdom all the time, you know, like
he's becoming super vocal.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think so, like we do have these artists that are doing it. It's just that typically speaking, the most popularized, most commercialized artists, you know, that they're not revered, they're not pushed in that particular type of manner. You know, that's another reason why somebody like Kendrick Lamar was so special for a period of time, because he was able to cross that boundary and still kind of keep that revolutionary spirit in a way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, that hip hop has always kind of had and more, but like outside of him though, and you know,
I mean, him doing that at this Super Bowl was like the apex.
Sure.
That's why he's revered as one of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? But like the commercialism has taken over the art form, where at one point in time the art form was just to buck against the system. You had a few sprinkled in that were in it to have fun, Kid and Play, MC Hammer. You know what I'm saying? They were there to have fun, and it was still hip hop, but when you think about the majority of artists at one point in time were all politically charged in one way or another. Even you can say NWA was politically charged.
Absolutely.
I was telling you what was going on
that first album, especially.
Definitely socially charged for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's not that there's none that exists. It's just that I feel like it's gotten so far away from that core energy that as a whole, I don't think it's going to ever go back to
and that. So that's why I always, and we've talked about this in the past too, and then we can keep it moving, but I feel like there's a distinct difference between commercialized rap music and what hip hop culture kind of is.
Right. Absolutely.
And I still think at the, you know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I still feel like at its root, hip hop still has that.
No, it does.
You know, but so often we get, I don't know, shoved in our faces that this is what hip hop is. This is this commercialized thing. But, you know, that's why I always kind of push back a little bit. I was like, no, that's just popular music. That hip hop, rap music is just popular right now. And because it's popular right now, just because it's a black face or just because it's a white face that's rapping doesn't necessarily mean that it's representative of, you know, the fundamental elements of what created the genre and the culture in the first place.
Yeah. Right. I think that started getting muddied at some point too, when I started hearing people say doing XYZ for the culture.
We've had that conversation.
It definitely wasn't something that I don't think was rooted in the culture.
Yeah.
That what it stood for. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It became a generic term. Like woke became a generic term.
And got flipped.
Yeah.
And like,
For the culture, definitely got played out.
For the culture,
very
as long
quickly.
as there's a bag.
There you go.
Right.
I mean, it's just
that kind of is the
That's
antithesis of the culture,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah,
you know, and it's just that, like, you know,
this would be the end right here.
I think the sad thing right now is when we talk about Assata Shakur and who she was and what she meant to, you know, the struggle, if you will, is that so many rappers who are popular right now, you know, probably have no idea who she is. I guarantee you, you know, Ice Spice or BX the Plug or Sexy Red
BX the Plug. Check.
have no idea who Assata Shakur is. And like, so, I mean, I think that's sad.
It is.
You know,
Yeah,
Big
and
Boogie doesn't know anything about Assata Shakur, like, but that's not.
I feel like you're
That's
naming a
where
bunch of
so-
rap names. I'm not sure they're actually rappers.
Yeah, I could just be saying
They are
things.
actual rappers.
They're rappers.
Isn't it Big X the Plug?
It is Big X the Plug.
Yeah, okay,
Oh,
Big
okay,
X.
okay,
I'm
that-
thinking.
now I know Big X
B-
the Plug. I was
yeah,
like, who's
I don't know.
BX the
I'm thinking the Bronx. Shout out to the Bronx.
The other people were right.
What
though.
about A Boogie? It's A Boogie, right? Not Big Boogie?
No, but there's
There's
a
a
Big
Big Boogie and a Boogie.
I think
and
Big
none,
Boogie's from Memphis, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, none of them know who
Actually, I
Assata
like Big
Shakur
Boogie.
is.
I stand corrected.
They don't read books.
I fool with Big
Damn,
X
you
the
gonna do
Plug.
them like that?
Yes.
So let me ask- I know you guys wanna move on,
but that's more of a fundamental. That's more to me. What that speaks to, that has nothing to do with hip hop necessarily. That's our society.
Yeah.
That's our education system. That's the war on education. That's the war against diversity.
That's the war on intellectualism.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so it's a whole nother conversation that we could
Some
have.
of that's our fault.
Thank you.
There
That's
it is.
actually where I was headed.
Yeah.
I was like, we kind of have to look at ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com.
So while Nas is securing a multi-billion-dollar bag for his hometown, Dame Dash is busy burning bridges online. This is true. So we're gonna
In life or online?
probably both, but we're gonna explore the diverging legacies of two hip hop icons who both started as cultural visionaries. Now, I grew up on Dame, Nas. We were outside, so I know their contributions to the culture, which makes seeing their recent, actions a little fascinating. But this isn't just one guy winning and another losing. It's a case study in how to evolve past your prime in hip hop. So Nas just spearheaded a massive $5.5 billion deal for a casino project in Queens, cementing his status as a community mogul. In contrast, Dame Dash, his recent headlines have been dominated by erratic interviews and legal battles, which we've all pretty much seen
And talked about.
and
Yes.
talked about. But does an artist's business acumen in their later years have the power to redefine their entire legacy? Because these are two legends. Say what you want.
Dame's not an artist, though.
Well, I mean, mogul /
Mogul's business.
either way, they're both legendary. Is that fair to say in their respective
Yes,
fields in hip hop?
I mean, for all the crazy things we said about Dame Dash, he's still very important to the culture.
Especially with Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean that's kind of where it stops.
I mean, but you.
You
Thank
petty.
you.
No, I
petty.
mean, like you, like
I agree.
I mean, I know Dame Dash is crazy, but
You
like
petty for that.
he's, you got to understand, Rockaware was a big deal at one point.
True.
The fact that everybody now has some sort of liquor deal or is putting out tequila.
Yeah.
When Rockefeller put out Armadale, like that's the only reason I bought a bottle of Armadale's because Rockaware was Dame and Jay were next to it.
Helped by the company Rachel Roy, so it was a little bit past just Rockefeller.
And so when I think one of the things that, despite the fact that Dame has been on Goofy Time, at least in my opinion, I understand that some people still feel him when he does these things. I still have an appreciation for what he's meant to the culture. Once again, he believed in Jay-Z as an artist when no one would give him a record
So let me
deal.
ask you this, right? I want to stop you there. So how much
That's strong, Jay, and I'll tell you why.
I'm
Go
coming,
ahead.
I'm coming to you next, Spoolz, but I want to pose this question, right? Based off what he said. How much clout, cash, points, whatever you want to cash in, how much does that hold as you continue to see someone in their older age I guess, appear to spiral out of control, because it always goes back to, man, he believed in Jay. That's dope. That shaped our childhood, or helped shape it in terms of hip hop. But I mean, how much does that weigh when you see who someone really is in real time?
You're only good as your last hit, man. And unfortunately, Dame has had a record of a lot of flops, and I don't know his business, so to speak, like that, as far as if he's actually really broke. We kind of talked about this.
Yeah.
And he talked about how a lot of things aren't in his name, which is smart if that's the case. But I mean, when you talk about Nas has continued to advance his business acumen along with his artistry. So when you put a Nas and a Dame Dash in the same, it's kind of like Nas is taking keys or cues from Dame and exceeded Dame, while Dame is known as the guy that, you know, broke Jay-Z and did a lot of good things along that path, and even after a little bit, but that flame has kind of fizzled out essentially. So I mean, I don't know, man. It to me, it's a little different. It's a little different because Nas is an artist that became a businessman versus somebody coming into the game as a businessman and somebody doing better business than you now. You know what I'm saying? After being in the game for so long.
Talk to me, Spoolz.
I think Dame Dash is exactly who he's always. He's an asshole, man, and he's
told you that.
He's always been an asshole, and as people, you can choose to like look past that and say, oh, it's great that he's done this or done that, but at the core person, like you're seeing him as I think him as a genuine person right now, like with the floundering and
who he really is.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. They say when like, you know, shit gets hard, you know what I mean? You start, you know, the real person comes out, man. And I think he's always. We're talking about a guy who still says pause after things. He's like 50 some years old, isn't he? Like, grow up, dude. Like what is the and it's unfortunate sometimes to me, and maybe I just don't understand, and I can accept that. But like to say that Dame is so respected in hip hop, is he? Is he really?
Historically,
like, what has he?
Historically,
like, you know, again, never wrote shit, never contributed anything musically. I understand the business side, and like I just think it's a stretch to be like, you know, he was the only one who believed in Jay-Z was making music before he ever met Dame Dash. And what Dame Dash is a good cheerleader. He's the guy that's going to jump up on a table and be a prick in an office building with someone to try to get a little bit more, to just try to get a little bit more or a little bit more. And we'll always look at you as you're trying to keep him down and you're trying to him. It's annoying.
You sound like Cartman when you say trying to me.
It's just wow. It's just. I mean, did you guys ever watch the behind the scene? They did the what was the tour?
Last Days of.
No,
you're
you're talking about
was it Hard Knock Live?
The Hard Knock, because now it pops up in my algorithm. You're talking about when he screamed on Kevin Lyles about the Def Jam jacket.
Jerk, dude.
Yeah, but you know what? He was right in that instance.
Yeah, he was right. That's the thing about
but
Dame.
No, you get to choose how you behave, man. You can pull Kevin Lyles to the side and say something different. He did that for the fucking cameras,
he knew
dude.
The cameras were on when he
and
did
also
it.
he's also that he seems to be that kind of guy.
It's the gift and the curse, because I mean it helped Jay, because Jay was touring with Big Daddy Kane back in the day, as a solo act, and he wasn't able to broker him a deal. And Kane has actually said that he's glad that a deal didn't happen at that point in time because of the artist he was able to become by getting a deal later. Yep. So I do give him peas for that, as far as being the loud person that would stand on the table. But again, it's a gift and a curse, and it came back to bite him in his ass because he's apologizing to a lot of these people.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. And that's. And maybe like Dame seems to have, I'm not trying to shit on him like totally as a human. He's just not someone I would want to talk to, you know what I mean? Or like be around. He just seems like a I'm sure he's great. I mean, he has kids. I'm sure he's a great man. You know, I'm not trying to
based upon everybody that I've known that's talked to him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to, I don't know the man at the end of the day. Just what he presents and what he's put out isn't the type of person that I would like want to do business with, who's such a mogul, and he's been a mogul for so long, and that's what he's supposed to be known for in hip hop. Like, I wouldn't want to do business with Dame.
He hustles for his last name.
You know what I mean? Like, and guys, Stacey Dash put him in business. I'm sorry, she did. You know what I mean?
Both of them were.
Oh, she funded it.
Nah,
she funded it
because also you know
I think Spoolz is right.
Because also like
look that up, bro.
You know, also there was this, you know, if you know what cousin Darian Dash, DME, there's a spirit of hustling in that family. But I will say
I think
this:
his dad was like thorough from what I've heard.
No, because like really it was really him. His mom was the one who put him in like boarding school, and you know, so
there was some street economics.
Yeah, I mean he'll tell you that.
But I think one thing that is
something with the basketball games back in the day, and they used to make shirts and shit like. No, I mean like he's been around. I'm not trying to like take everything away from him, but like. No, Stacey Dash definitely her money helped put him into business.
Stacey Dash wasn't large
there's
like
no
that.
doubt about it, but she made a lot of money, man.
AI says no.
Yeah,
but
Stacey Dash
knows. It says Stacey Dash did not fund Dame Dash. That's what it says.
You gotta understand, like Stacey
Dash.
Dash.
I don't know if it's true or not.
Stacey, shout out to Stacey. Well, not really shout out to Stacey Dash because she was on some goofy time. But you know, she was in
Runs in the Family,
a Richard Pryor movie, and she was on the Cosby Show. Like
Clueless did pretty big.
She was with Clueless. That was 95 though.
That's
one hit movie where she was not at the top of the.
Told me I was wrong at the end of the day. You guys, you can continue to like. I don't like Dame's the man. You know, what I mean, he's great because he made a vodka and because he jumped up on a table.
No, that's not what we're saying.
No.
It's just weird to me that we praise this guy who's now is clearly like seems to be showing himself for who he is, man. Like burned all bridges. You know, a lot of them at least. Like not respected at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's I don't know, but again, I stand corrected about the Stacey Dash thing, and
it could be wrong though. I don't know.
He could be a great dude who just is getting a bad rap, but from what I've seen and what he's presented, he doesn't seem.
This is where I'll play
like a great dude,
white devil's advocate, like I tend to do sometimes. You know, just Tuesday is my day to just kind of take in some information and see what's going on whatever platforms. And they interviewed Chris Gotti on
Breakfast
Club today.
Saw some of that.
Okay. For those of you who don't know, Chris Gotti is the brother of Irv Gotti of Murder Inc. And the thing is, he was really kind of the Slim to the baby, if you will. He was really the guy behind the scenes. There's a couple levels to what I thought when I watched this interview. They really talked to him about the business and what he did in the record industry, and it wasn't this whole back and forth, and it wasn't the same thing with Dame. There was a level of respect there, and there was some really great information. But it is also the fact that Dame basically came up and in his own way insulted everybody on the Breakfast Club. So
he led with that.
Yeah, he led with that. So the difference between seeing, I'm not saying anything about him.
Great legend,
but like I'm saying, like the difference between seeing Chris Gotti, and this was all around the same time when it was Murder Inc. and Rockefeller.
Yeah.
The difference between that interview and the interview with Dame Dash is light years away, because they talked about personal things. They talked about the business. They talked about why this happened, why that happened. And, they were able to go through these stories of, talking about that era in hip hop. And I think it's just because the difference is Dame Dash, for whatever chip he has on his shoulder, exacerbates things to the point where it devolves into calling Charlamagne gay, calling Dame Dash going back calling broke. Like I said, I think there are things that Dame Dash has done, despite the, what I've talked about as his accomplishments, where he has really dug himself into and fought himself into a corner that makes him look foolish.
Let me add one thing just to make it more positive, not to just shit on this man or whatever.
This is your opinion.
I want to talk about what Nas did. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was going to get to. Like what Nas has done, and like to solidify his place and the respect that he seems to get in the industry after such a long time. It's awesome, man. I don't know a ton about the casino deal, but sounds pretty massive to me. He just seems to be just aging extremely well and stepping into the, like, I'm the OG, I'm the, kind of elder statesman role, like happily stepping into it and not, and doing it without like stepping on people's toes, but also not like selling himself out. Like you don't hear Nas like censor himself, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, but he also doesn't meddle in dumb shit either.
It's true. Nas is, that to your point, Spoolz, that's what I was going to bring up, is the fact that he has stayed himself.
Yeah.
To get to this point. And you think about Nas, his trajectory, he's the guy that picks the bad beats. He's not the Billboard sweetheart. He doesn't have all of the commercial success that some of the people that he has gone up against will just say. And for him to be able to stay consistent and be himself throughout all this time and then land something of this magnitude in the area that he's from, to me, that is an incredible story, because there are so many people that have had the boost or the exposure, but they're not doing the things that he's doing. You know, like when I hear him on the, I think he does a voiceover for, is it Hennessy? Does he do those commercials?
I think so.
Yeah, he has a sponsorship or something.
Okay, so little stuff like that, I'm like, that's 50-year-old plus hip-hop legendary type stuff. I never see him out embarrassing himself or trying to be 25 again.
No, that's never been Nas, though.
But I love the fact that he stayed that way and then landed this where he's from. Like, to me, that's underlying all the Dame talk. That's what's impressive.
That's what I'm saying. Is different. It's like we're comparing somebody that overcame all the odds as an artist and as a businessman, because this isn't his first business venture.
True.
This is just him advancing in business and people trusting that he knows what to do with, you know what I'm saying, the position that he has. Versus when we talk about a Dame is still trying to position himself as somebody that doesn't have it anymore. And Charlemagne brought that up. He killed him. He was like, it's like you don't want to believe pretty much that what you were is gone.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you value success off of is acting like you got money and things like that. He killed him. Y'all have to run that clip back as far as to see what he actually said, but that's just Dame in a nutshell at the end of the day. Yeah, he had some success, and he's still chasing the success. Even when he announced that he was doing this big thing with Revolt decided to say, well, that's cap. That's not the case.
But with Nas, thing is, Nas has been quietly, I mean, because we are a hip hop podcast and we talk about the artistry, you know, and we have talked greatly about how at least I have, about how much I enjoyed the King's Disease and the Magic series, those 6 albums in that run. But during that time, Nas has had a level of business acumen that has been very quiet with this Queensbridge Capital. You know, he's been actually, you know, living in the world of venture capitalism,
There it is.
for quite a while now. In fact, one of his big wins was Ring, if I remember correctly. You know, and there have been some things where like he is invested in to where they have turned out extremely well for him. Mm-hmm. You know, there are several hip hop artists. Like I remember someone saw Chamillionaire at, having courtside seats, and they were like, "Oh, how many ringtones did y'all buy?" It's like, no, he's been in the venture capitalist, you know, in tech for a while. There's a lot of hip hop
savvy
artists. You know, I mean, even we like to talk about, you know, Hammer and all the money he lost, but then Hammer got into tech on the low. You know, as far as like putting his money into those spaces. So
Good for him.
You know, and the thing is, it's been a lot of quiet money as far as hip hop, as far as people just making moves who don't need the attention, you know, not doing, the Sam Rothstein thing and just jumping out. And I think that's what, you know, Jay-Z brought it up in the song Lost Ones, and that's kind of come to fruition. What Dame has done is like, he can't stop being the center of attention, you know, instead of, you know, being the person, you know, moving your situation of food and beverage, you know, which is that quiet money, you know. And so like Nas has really done that over this time. While we're talking about his albums, this guy has made millions of dollars, you know, investing in companies and being a venture capitalist. And I think that is inspiring on a whole nother level.
For sure.
You know, just because it's like, look, because the guys on, what was it, Shark Tank, they didn't believe in Ring. Somehow Nas got in there before the guys on Shark Tank and has made a whole bunch of money. Because at one point, Nas was struggling on his personal finances.
Yes.
You know, just because of taxes, just because of divorces. And he has quietly, you know, got himself out of that and built a real fortune for himself. And he's got a one-up on Jay-Z, because Jay-Z's commercial deal that was supposed to bring casino to Manhattan was shut down. But Nas is bringing something similar as far as a casino to Queensbridge. Now, whether or not, you know, you feel like that's good or bad, your morality on gambling is, you know, that's a different conversation. But like I said, one of the things that you can really admire Nas about is he's moved quietly while building, a certain level of financial stability for himself and trying to do things for his community.
I respect it.
Life is good.
And for me, man, I think the Dame thing from it's just very counter to the type of person that I am. You know what I mean? So I get that kind of personality can be very helpful when you're trying to accomplish certain things, especially in business. Like I get it. It's just not me, and it's not like shocking to see now what's going on. You know what I mean? Like he says all this shit about somebody and then comes around and wants to apologize, and 50 Cent was like off, dude. You know what I mean? It was just kind of funny, like sorry, man, like you don't get to just be a prick all the time and then make shit up and literally lie. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden everyone's supposed to open up their arms again. It's just, I don't know, man.
So Bad Bunny is going to be headlining the Super Bowl next year with all his songs in Spanish, and I know the MAGA is going to love it. And the predictable outrage is here. So they're calling him a massive Trump hater and a demonic Marxist for his political views and and because he's going to be performing in Spanish. And we've seen this movie before, but the reaction is almost a carbon copy of what we saw last year with Kendrick Lamar, and the backlash that he received for his unapologetically black performance at the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny, obviously from Puerto Rico. Most of his records are in Spanish, and with the way everything is right now, that's, obviously going to be a little contentious to some people. So what is it about the Super Bowl halftime show that makes this such a battleground for American culture wars, do you think?
America.
Yeah, 100%
That's just
America.
what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
America.
And it's crazy that it gets so much attention for those 10 minutes that an artist is going to be performing.
That they don't get paid for.
They don't get paid for. I mean, there's a butterfly effect that comes from that Super Bowl performance.
100%.
But
100%.
it's about the two teams that are playing. It's the NFL. You come to watch the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is on for 2.5 hours?
Maybe longer.
And
Give or take.
The
It's probably
entertainment is 10 to 15 minutes. And this is always the focal point of the year. So we play a whole season of football or whatever sport, and it leads up to the Super Bowl, and people get mad about those 10, 15 minutes. And what's so crazy about this shit to me is America is supposed to be built off of culture, right?
And diversity.
And diversity. And somebody that's culture is different than yours, who is also American because he's Puerto Rican.
Yep.
He's from Puerto Rico. This is part of America.
Bar.
And
since the 1800s, right?
yeah, like you can't.
I can't remember what its like technical status is. If it's
But
like
they're a part of America.
province of.
You're an American
Yes.
citizen
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
absolutely, yeah.
I don't need a passport to go to Puerto Rico.
Right.
Bar.
And it's so crazy because in America, if you don't think, act right, dress, talk like whoever's around, you automatically assume that they're not American. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big Bad Bunny fan, but
Couldn't tell you a song.
Couldn't tell you, but him performing at the Super Bowl has no merit, no ill will from me at all. I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I can get up and do something else if I don't feel like watching that part of the
He's
show.
not wrong though, but I'm probably gonna do the same thing.
You know what
I'm
I'm
gonna
saying?
get up and get some nachos or something.
Honestly, I could
100%.
care less, man. But it's
It's a good
so
time for a
weird.
cigar. You know?
It's weird because in America, again, going back to the whole cultural aspect of everything, we're so one-sided when it comes to this shit because we're successful in other countries. They don't know what the we're talking about, but they still listen to our music. And we can still tour over there and sell out arenas without them knowing what the we're talking about and come back home with a bag, since everybody's concerned about a bag.
But I will say English is definitely the most popular or redistributed language, or one of them around
it is.
You know.
Yeah, that's another thing to other cultures. They learn other languages.
Yeah.
Whereas here we feel like you have to
Speak
English
English.
is the only language that you're supposed to know, and I don't care less about that other language. If I ain't speaking English, then get out of here. Go back home. Get out of my country. He's from here. But yeah, that's just kind of where I stand at, in the home of the thieves.
Boy.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody
Well,
thought,
not the home of the thieves, land of the thieves, home of the slave.
Damn, Terry.
I mean, it's the truth.
has anybody thought about how, I guess, Jay-Z's selections, if you will, in terms of, because he's pretty much over it.
It's not just him, though, is it?
It's not just him, but that's who they're going to point to, right?
Yes.
So, does anybody think about how the NFL is looked at as vouching for said halftime show?
Let me tell
Does
you
anybody think about how they are? Is there pushback for them as an entity and as a business because they're attached to it? They vouch for it.
Well, let me tell you something about the NFL. There's no more capitalist organization in the United States of America than the NFL.
Can't argue with you there.
The thing is, what a lot of these people who didn't realize that Puerto Rico was a United States territory have not taken into consideration is that the Super Bowl is a global event. It's not a United States event. You know, and the thing is, the NFL is coming for everybody's trap, if you will. They want the NFL to be the world's game.
They want that real football money.
Yeah, exactly. So
playing games in Europe,
that's soccer
more and more.
So
yeah,
they want, and so when you're talking about bringing someone on who's a Spanish language artist like Bad Bunny, it's not just because he's Spanish language and that's going to appeal to a certain part of the world. You have to look at the metrics that Bad Bunny brings. He moves a lot of units.
He's the number one selling artist in America.
He does a lot of streams. He's got a lot of awards. He has a very wide, ranging net, if you will, of fans. Just because we don't know about him or that we're not a fans of Bad Bunny or we talk about him on this show, that doesn't mean that he isn't the dude as far as these numbers are concerned.
No, he is.
And so the NFL is actually very savvy, if you will, as far as bringing him on board. Because they're thinking about international. Like, I know people are like, why don't we get some country music artists? Like, I'll be honest, when you look at the numbers, country music does well in regions of the United States of America. It's not an international art form that, you can go to Europe, you can go to Russia, you can go to South America,
that
and people are
speaks
into
volumes in itself about the nature of America right now. Go ahead,
exactly. So when I saw this, I was like, that is genius. Yeah. That is what you're supposed to do when you're trying to grow a game internationally and globally. So, when I saw this, and also, there are people who are going to say this is a political statement. This is Jay-Z doing a bit of trolling to the current administration. And you know what? That's fine. But, you can back it up with a level of with metrics,
facts
that make sense as far as growing this. People like, trust me, I was on Facebook today. It was like, I don't know who Bad Bunny is. I don't know why I did that voice, but
that's how we sound.
Yeah, that voice wasn't it though. That wasn't it.
That's how all white people sound.
But every
golly.
But
every one of us.
But those people who are upset about Bad Bunny, you know what they're going to do? They're still going to watch the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So
no, they're boycotting.
Yeah,
they've been doing for the past 10 years.
Because I remember,
go Cowboys.
And the thing is, when people say, "Oh, well, we should have," even they say we should have American artists. It's like, that's what Kendrick Lamar was.
Yeah.
He's an American artist.
But when the Who played, who is not an American artist, when you talk about when the Rolling Stones popped up there, there has been a host. I mean, honestly, even when you talk about Rihanna and The Weeknd, those are not artists from the United States of America.
Come on.
So
they speak English though.
I mean, because
so that makes them American.
Once again, it's about that otherness.
We're such a fucking stupid nation, man.
It's stupid.
It's about the otherness of someone who doesn't speak a language that you understand, and you got to. And even if you put up the closed captioning, you wouldn't be able to read it anyway because you don't know. You got through Spanish 1 in high school.
They can't read any damn way. Another thing, real quick.
That's petty.
About this.
Barely read English.
Thing. That's petty.
The MAGA folks are mad at Bad Bunny because he stopped touring in America based off of he doesn't want ICE showing up to his shows, detaining his fans.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
I get it.
Good for him.
That's not necessarily a political statement, but they take it as a political statement. No, he's keeping his fans safe.
It is a political statement, though.
I mean, it is, but it ain't. In the same token,
it's not a negative.
Went back,
it's not a negative political statement.
No, it's not negative, but it's like, I'm not trying to put anybody in harm's way. Sure. That rock with me.
Yeah.
That's noble to me. You know what I'm saying? But he went back to Puerto Rico and has done hella sold out shows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's the number one selling artist in America right now, male-wise.
U.S. soil.
You know what I'm saying? Regardless of if he's speaking English or Spanish or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, man. I don't, like I said, and I'm sure none of us has really listened to Bad Bunny.
I know a few of his songs.
I know a few of his
just
songs,
because,
but
like,
I'm not saying I'm riding around listening to Bad Bunny.
No, I mean, I had, because creating playlists for, my situation, like, I know I have Spanish customers, so.
But it doesn't piss you off that he's on there. That's what I'm saying.
No, like,
I don't think America's going to be happy.
Bad
Well,
Bunny.
a certain segment of America isn't going to be happy until either Kid Rock or Morgan Wallen are playing the Super
Kid
Bowl.
Rock's last record sold like 25,000 copies.
They want him to do it.
Morgan
All right,
Wallen
so
was
no, he can't do it.
Morgan Wallen was the name that I was going to throw out there. But Spoolz, jump in this, man. Where you at?
Well, first, I'm
Where
going to
you
start off with just a real quick funny story. So when they announced this during the Sunday night football game at halftime, I think, I was watching that game. It was Packers and Cowboys. And
Yep.
My buddy, shout out to my man Sax, I was texting with him about it. And I was jokingly said to him, I think I started the conversation off with, there's 24 hours in a day. How many of those hours do you spend listening to Bad Bunny? Right? Just jokingly, you know what I mean? Just because basically saying I'm an old nerd and I don't know much about Bad Bunny. So my buddy texts back, he's like, well, just sarcastically, like, oh, on an off day, maybe 10 to 12, normally 16. And then he goes, but to be honest with you, man, I really don't know much of her music.
Her music? Damn.
And I go, that's funny potentially in two ways. Either you're playing along well with the joke and acting like you do know who he is, but you called him a her, or you genuinely don't know that it's a male. And he goes, no, I didn't know it was a male. I've never listened to Bad Bunny's music. You know what I mean? So it was just nerds who didn't know. I've heard of Bad Bunny. I couldn't name a song, but I know the face, you know what I mean? And the sound and things like that. And yeah, he's an extremely popular artist. Like,
he's got his own shoe.
So now what angle do I want to take with this?
Yeah, that's what I want to hear, Spoolz.
We want to hear let's go the entertainment angle. We haven't taken that one. Why are we so goddamn obsessed in the United States with being entertained? And why do we have to judge everything, every little piece of entertainment and every entertainer there is, more so than like more important things that go on in society?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, dude. And real quick to jump, somebody had, and I'll go deeper into that, but when Beyonce did the Super Bowl, she's Black Panther and, stuff like, it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, what are we doing? Like, why are you so riled up about this? Yeah, like, damn it. Like, it just, I don't know. It's frustrating, man. Like, I thought I was really naive up until about 2016. But I was like, oh man, we've made some progress in this country. You know what I mean? I was like, no.
But Spoolz, we're in an era where people are driven and feed off. That's the time that you're gonna have pretty much. I'm not gonna say the world. I'm not gonna use hyperbole, but that's a lot of eyes for you to be able to show your ass or do whatever you want to do. And I think sometimes people are driven by that. They'll jump out the window just because this is the only time I'm going to be. It's a unique situation. So with
it doesn't. It happens every year.
No, for sure. But what I'm saying is everybody doesn't get to do it every year.
For that artist.
You mean
for that artist? Yeah. So when each artist jumps on that stage, it's like, yo, I got one time to get whatever I want to get out. We about to get this off. And we're in an era where people, to your point, want to be entertained. Everybody's focused on getting or being entertained.
Yeah, it's to me, it's a lot. It's too much in my opinion. Everybody can do whatever. That's what America's truly founded on, right? Don't tell me what the to do. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's good for me, bad for me, good for my brain, bad for my brain. If I'm feeding into the bullshit or not, you can't tell me what to do. That's truly what America's really built on.
Right.
That and racism and capitalism and things like that. But the need to it's the biggest to me kind of manipulation that is done, or one of the bigger ones, or the distractions at the end of the day. Like, for everyone who's mad about Bad Bunny or whatever the case might be, you could be reading more into a real issue and finding out the truth about what Donald Trump's regime is truly doing to the country right now, right? Or something else. But we have been made so dumb in this country, I think, and so tamed and so kind of controlled by entertainment. And I think that was definitely part of the plan at the end of the day. And it's nothing really new. That's been going on for a long time. It's a way, if you want to go really far, it kind of feeds into capitalism because of the, I don't know, unfortunate nature for most of the people who have to participate in a capitalist system at the end of the day. Entertainment takes your mind off of all that shit. You can keep going. It numbs you.
Yeah.
You don't have, you can keep doing whatever it is you're doing that you know isn't great at the end of the day, but you have to participate in the system because you have to pay your bills and you have to feed your kids and you have to do all that. But I can watch the game. And guys, I'm not above any of this, by the way. I love the Bears. I watch football every Saturday. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. I'm a huge Cubs fan.
And you save up to buy eggs like the rest of us.
Absolutely, man. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we can still step back and still, like, people often say, and I think this is a liberal conservative difference too, like conservatives want to roll with America no matter what, and they think they're more American because of that. Whereas I think sometimes liberals, and I'll put myself in this category for right now, feel that I love this country so much, I feel like I can look at it and be critical of it because I want it to be better than it is.
Yeah, and that's another foundational point of America.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
to be able to be critical of the thing that you're a part of.
And sometimes I wonder if that's just part of there's the rhetoric and the reality, right? The concept, I'll just to throw this out, and this might sound left field, but I'll bring it back. The concept of who white is has changed in the United States since the beginning of this country,
you
too.
said who white is?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Trust me, the Italians have not always been white.
Nope.
The Irish have
The
not always
Germans
been
were
white.
never always white.
You know.
According to Ben Franklin, this is from one of his books or something that he wrote, he felt like only people basically from England, like white people from England, should be the ones that populate the United States.
I'm somebody that only recently realized how Germany has not a really old country.
No, it started about the time of our Civil War.
I had no idea
1865.
until like maybe 6-7 months ago.
It was a collection of territories and things like Bavaria. You hear about Bavarian chocolate and things like that. Like Bavaria's always been around, but it wasn't Germany until like 1862 or something like that when they made a confederation. But no, the reason why I bring that up is that everybody the people who choose hang their hat on what they feel are, at the end of the day, like these kind of white Christian nationalist ideals, and that is the standard for what America is. Like, most of you weren't considered white when this country was made.
Man.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Some of you aren't
just something to consider.
Some of you who espouse white Christian nationalist values aren't considered white now. But that's neat. That's something else. The thing is about Bad Bunny being centered as the halftime act in the Super Bowl. I think it's a lot of white, or, whatever you call white people's opportunity to say, well, what about me?
Be careful.
What about what I like? And this is the same conversation we've probably had going on the last 6 or 7 years, or however long Jay-Z has been a part of planning the Super Bowls. It's like, okay, we had Usher. Okay, we had Kendrick Lamar. We had Rihanna. When are we going to get a country act? When are we going to get, some classic rock in there? And once again, I think it goes back to not only the influence of Jay-Z, but it also goes back to the influence of the NFL is trying to grow this game internationally.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
If you look at the NFL as a product, it's 100%. And if you look at it over the span of years, it's not even just. Look at the rules and how they've changed in the NFL over time. Like the product, the people who love watching football and love the rules and don't mind like I was watching Penn State and Oregon Saturday. It was 3-3 at halftime. That was a great game.
Yeah,
I enjoyed every minute of it, man. But that's to a fan who's maybe not as invested in football. Like, they don't want to see that. They want to see the high scoring games, and the rules favor that more now.
Yeah,
most people that are
just like basketball.
Most people that are NFL veterans or longtime fans, they consider it watered down at this point. Packers Cowboys was 40-40. It ended up in a tie.
Yeah.
Like it gets them going. Like that. It's that.
It's being made into a product to be marketed to a larger group of people, and that is business. That is capitalism. The games that they're playing, I think, more every year in Europe somewhere.
Yeah,
they're trying to get a hold of that market. They'll play in Mexico City and things like that every year.
Yep.
They're just trying to expand their reach. At the end of the day, I don't know, man. Everybody all
it's not American,
bugged out about the damn Super Bowl halftime show. Like you guys said, it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And you can definitely flip the channel and watch the Puppy Bowl.
If
I'm not mistaken, that's on at halftime.
Remember we did that at my house. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, make you a chili dog. I mean, they was mad at I think it was Christmas when Beyonce performed at Christmas.
Yeah.
Or was that Thanksgiving?
No, that was Christmas.
It was Christmas.
It was on Netflix.
They hate anything that has to do with Beyonce. And it's based off of just Beyonce being Beyonce, because she performed at the Super Bowl and did that shit. And ever since then, she can't do no right in nobody's eyes. It doesn't matter that where country music evolved from. she's not country enough to do a country album in their eyes, and she's literally from Houston, Texas.
So let me ask you this question then. So is this outrage and the collective outrage that we're talking about, is this a genuine example of conservative values?
The outrage is, yes, it is.
Or is it manufactured for some sort of political divide?
I think it's a little bit of everything, because honestly, my timeline is more so people just kind of making fun of it, and not necessarily making fun of Bad Bunny. Is more just conversation. Everybody wants to have a conversation online. Yep. It's just one of those things.
Yep.
But the bigger point of the matter is exactly what you're talking about. It is exactly that to me. You know what I'm saying? In my personal opinion, because people feel like they have to identify with everything. And unfortunately, when you look in the mirror in America, it doesn't look the same way that it used to look, and it's never going to look that way again.
I think a lot of this is fueled by, from the white people's perspective, most likely the great replacement theory ideals that have been provoked by people such as Charlie Kirk that we've talked about recently, and these conservative ideals, and also, you know, the anti-immigrant, you know, anti pretty much anybody that speaks Spanish, all this stuff that's, you know, immigrants are taking our jobs, immigrants are killing everybody, you know, all this other type of rhetoric that's being fueled within this. But I think that's another piece of this too that is kind of interesting to me. Like, I don't know how I feel about it exactly, from the perspective of somebody who is, you know, a Spanish speaking person, you know, who literally made the choice to not do tours because he didn't want to potentially be harmful for people that are going to come out to his concerts, and the reaction from the government from that, for him to make this statement and to do this in this particular type way is kind of almost, it's kind of a slap in the face in some ways to this administration, in a way that they have no control over it. It's just like, you know what? We're going to put a Spanish speaking person on here. Y'all are just going to have to deal with it. But at the end of the day, it's like, can't we just, you know, to the other, I know multiple things here, but from the other perspective, we're just supposed to be enjoying the culture around it. That's why we have different artists on the Super Bowl thing every year. Just sit and enjoy that, if, or don't, you know, it's like, it's Bad Bunny. He's Puerto Rican. He speaks Spanish. He does Spanish, you know, reggaeton. Like, just get, you know, like what is so hard about just watching somebody? Do you need to be like front and center every single time?
You have a choice not to watch.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, but like, what's wrong with, like, I mean, these are the same white people that go to Mexican restaurants.
Oh,
yeah.
Also, you know what I mean? Like, they want
churros on Cinco de Mayo.
I want to add this just real quick. That concept, I talked about it just briefly, but like even down to the countries being taken from us concept, like not even beyond kind of the great replacement theory and things like that. That's been going on since like the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a new concept in the United States. Right around the turn of this, like 1900 or so, there was like, I think, an entire political party maybe dedicated to keeping immigrants from other places out.
It goes to the Chinese. It goes to the Irish, the Italians. Like I said, Europeans have had to earn their whiteness.
It was Western Europeans, you know, that like some of them were okay for the most part, like no Eastern Europeans.
Yeah.
If you want to look deeper, like you can
certainly
see,
no Southern Italians.
That's you know, there was the United States had the opportunity to kind of be able to bring in more Jewish people while Hitler was coming to power and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And because we had quotas at that particular point in time that we would only take X number of people from certain countries, like, and it was definitely much lower for Eastern Europe and even lower for places in Asia and even lower for places in Africa. Like, we were like, sorry.
Those quotas still exist, by the way.
Yes. Oh yeah. And they had an opportunity to be able to help a lot more people.
Yeah.
Land of the thieves, home of the slave.
You know, so I'm just saying it's not a new concept. Like this whole this is my country and it's being taken from me by insert name of group. Right. It's been going on forever. It was, you know, the fear of Southern whites after the Civil War that black people were going to take certain things over and that they just couldn't have that. Or, you know, when, you know, it was okay to have Chinese people over to build the railroads for us, but, you know, after that, sorry, You know, it was, what happened during World War II to the Japanese people. It's not talked about a lot, but in World War I, like there was definitely Germans were looked down upon, you know what I mean? And things like, and they're considered white, you know? So it's just, we have a confused nationalism in this country. I'll
Very
just
much so.
put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's, I know whenever the whites, if you will, they feel like, oh, well, what about me? And with this whole Bad Bunny situation, do you realize how many times, people who are American but who have Spanish heritage, or I mean, the thing is, say Spanish heritage is very,
because it's a colonialized
exactly.
Well.
Because people from Spain and people from Mexico don't even speak the same kind of Spanish. Okay,
but they're all colonized by Spain, and they're indigenous people of all these countries.
Exactly,
you know what I mean. So,
but think about how many times they've had to watch the Super Bowl and just had to sit through it and just pretend like they enjoyed it. It was like, oh, that's great. Think about how many times, like, what if next year they decide K-pop is going to dominate the Super Bowl? Think about how many times.
What's crazy is they probably actually enjoy it though.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying, like, just think about how many times, say K-pop is for the next Super Bowl. How many times have, our Asian brothers and sisters watched the Super Bowl and seen no representation of themselves at the Super Bowl? How many, until recently, how many times have we had to watch the Super Bowl and it be Up With People or whatever, or the Who or the Rolling Stones, and it's all good because I can get down with all that music. But how many times is when you just go out and as a black person in America, you don't hear anything that represents your culture and you just have to deal with it. So, like, I'm sorry.
I mean, the percentage is very
white
high.
people, sometimes you just don't get to be the center of attention. Yeah. And you know what? You get to, then that's how you can maybe empathize with how Black, Asian, and Hispanic people feel on a regular basis.
What's empathize? What's that mean? Sorry.
Go ahead, Long.
I was just going to say, we even have a little bit of American exceptionalism even built into us, because we have such, like, even in this conversation, we think that the Super Bowl matters to other countries.
That's a great point, dude.
Bruh.
First world problem.
They're trying to get it to matter to other countries, but it doesn't.
No, this is not the World Cup.
No.
This is not like, this is.
It's not the Olympics.
It's not.
The World
man.
Cup is everywhere.
That's why I live with America.
The Super Bowl is very much a North American thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, we think, oh, it's the thing of the no.
There are no teams outside of the United States that play in the NFL.
People
but they
don't
win the
care.
World, they win the world championship.
Yeah, the world championship.
Oh,
Craig.
that's a great point. That is American exceptionalism, like just a little nugget of it.
NewOldAds.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe, hit any bell you see for notifications. Don't forget to check out our Patreon where you get our exclusive, full, unedited episodes. We appreciate your support, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yes. In a minute. Throw down that box.
And stop reading.
Stop reading.